Just connecting to the server. Okay. So I am joined by Baird Hall, who is in South Carolina in the United States. And I'm so excited. And I know everybody always starts like a podcast interview or a video interview by saying, I'm so excited, but I actually truly am, because you are the co-founder of Wave. And Wave was only launched in January of this year. And what you guys do is that you turn audio into social video. So as a podcaster, this has just been like a dream for me. So first of all, thank you so much for creating your software. You're very welcome to JSB Talks Digital.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Joanne. And we're always excited to talk with our users. So I'm glad we're able to catch up, and hopefully we can have some good digital marketing discussions for the audience. But yeah, my name's Baird, and I am the co-founder of Wave. We started the company earlier this year. It's actually an interesting story. It was launched from a failed company before that. So a year and a half ago, we launched another audio application that didn't really work out, but we actually built Wave as an internal marketing tool for ourselves. And because we kind of had the same problem that a lot of people do. We wanted an easy way to create video for social media out of audio, and we built it for ourselves, and people started emailing us and asking us for access, and that's when the light bulb went off, and we've been working on it ever since.
Isn't failure fantastic? Because failure isn't really failing. Failure is about experimenting and testing and seeing what works. And then, of course, Wave was born. It's taken on a whole wave of its own. Who are you pitching Wave at? Obviously, podcasters are an obvious choice, but have you got a broader strategy?
Yeah, that's probably been kind of the biggest aha moment that we've had so far. But we definitely focus on podcasters as a niche. And even more specifically, podcasters that are using their podcast as a content marketing channel for their product, their service, whatever it may be. There's over 200,000 active podcasts out there, and that number seems to fluctuate and change all the time. And a lot of people aren't monetizing their podcasts yet, so they're not ready to make even where you start at $10 a month, so it's not expensive. But we found that the people that really love Wave are entrepreneurs, bloggers, coaches, anyone with an e-learning course, but anybody that wants to create more social content to help promote their audio. So that's where we focus. But we have it blows our mind the different types of marketers that use Wave. We have. It's just all across the board. So it's really for anybody that wants to create more social video content.
And of course, podcasting is growing, as you well know, and you have the likes of Facebook adding a new audio feature because, you're sitting there with your earphones in. We are living through the age of the smartphone in our pocket, and audio is so accessible, and it helps you unwind. So I think your market is going to grow as more people begin to access audio. But the other thing is, I've actually seen some big influencers in my digital marketing industry using Wave. That's where I came across it. And so from a start of January, and it's now September, you've created something really special, I think.
Yeah, it's been a fun, I guess, 8 or 9 months so far. But yeah, we've been able to get a lot of traction, and we've really kind of struck a chord with marketers and podcasters that want to be able to promote their podcast more. I think, a couple of things to touch on from what you said. First off, I think that the podcasting space is, like you said, it's growing. But I think that podcasting as a content marketing standpoint for businesses that is where businesses need to move, because we've already flooded our screens with advertising, and you get hit with hundreds of thousands of messages every day. But podcasting is great because it's one of the few mediums where you can reach someone beyond the screen when they're walking, when they're cooking dinner in their kitchen or driving in their car. There doesn't have to be a screen involved. Well, to get it started, maybe to press play, but that's it. So it's a really interesting untapped space for marketers and advertisers to be able to reach people. But on the flip side of that, everybody's creating a podcast right now. And if you have one, you really need to find ways to stand out from the crowd. And that's where we come in. We help create teaser content. So you can, grab the best part of an interview, combine it with an image. Wave has a nice drag and drop interface where you can design it exactly how you want it. And audio animations are really important so that the viewer on social media knows there's audio included, and makes it really easy to create that content. So, but yeah, it's been, we've been learning a lot in the last 8 months, because this is kind of people haven't been doing this very long. Podcasting is just now it's been around for a long time, but just now having its big resurgence. And, marketing podcasts is a little bit of a new thing. So, we're kind of picking it up as we go as well.
And podcast as a content marketing tactic, it's exactly why I podcast, and I'm going to record podcast number 65 after this interview.
Wow, nice.
And it was never to generate, sell advertising on the platform or get a sponsor for the show. But in actual fact, I now work with the EU Parliament, so with politicians out in Europe. And the reason that they hired me is because they discovered me on my podcast.
Wow.
I interviewed a press advisor. I'd been following her on Snapchat, and she was using Snapchat to explain the impact of Brexit on Ireland and on the UK, and what the decision makers were saying the morning of the Brexit result. And I said, I have to have her on my podcast. I had her on my podcast. She shared her podcast with her colleagues. And then, of course, they invite me over to give a guest talk, and the rest is history, as they say, because I'm working with them. And just those 12 minutes of that interview where I was able to have a conversation with somebody, and of course, the searchability of the podcast, because, all the podcast networks, but you got the show notes on the blog, and then, of course, you have your social video on the social networks. It amplifies the whole lot. Are there any other features planned for Wave? You must see new opportunities for you guys in terms of the product.
Oh yeah, big time. Actually, I want to touch on your story, because I think that is so important when it comes to podcasting, and anyone that's thinking about starting one, or maybe they started one and it hasn't quite, taken traction yet, because it takes a long time with podcasting. But it's the best way to build a relationship with someone without seeing them face to face, or talking to them and actually having a two-way interaction. I've got a similar story that I was on the receiving end of, where I went to a conference in Nashville, Tennessee, here in the States. And I listened to a podcast from one of the sponsors that was going to be there. And I listened to like 6 episodes that they were doing conference previews and explaining, what events to go to. And when I got to the conference, I walked up to the guy and I was like, "Hey, it's Baird. Nice to see you." And he's like, "I have no clue who you are." I felt like I knew the guy though. So anyway, I think it's a good point that, it's such a great way it's such a relationship building tool. And it's hard. You can't scale building relationships, but podcasting gets pretty close.
It is, and nobody refuses. Well, I don't think I've ever had anybody refuse to do an interview with me on the podcast. So you saw my tweet. This is how we met. So I tweeted out my bloopers.
Yes, I love that.
Wave, obviously, because I was talking about Father Ted and Victoria's Secrets, and then I couldn't stop laughing. And you guys tweeted it out, and I was like so excited. I was like, "Oh, thanks a lot." And I think you actually shared it on Instagram as well.
Yep.
And then we had a little chit chat over Twitter, and I said, "Come on the podcast," and here you are.
Yep, it's awesome. It's a great way to connect with people, and it's a lot of fun. But we love the blooper reel too. We love it when people are using Wave in different ways and experimenting, because that's what marketing's all about. It's having fun, trying new things, and we saw you guys do that, and loved it. But as far as features for Wave, so everything that we do falls into one of 2 categories. We're either doing something to make sharing audio easier, or we're doing something to create awesome video content. So those 2 things always come together, and that's what really gives us a framework to build our product. So I was actually up till about 2 a.m. last night testing our brand new social sharing feature, so that you can share directly from Wave to Facebook, Twitter, and then YouTube's coming next. And you can actually, when you create a video in Wave now, later tonight when we launch this, you'll be able to save it and view the video in a My Videos page, and then be able to come back anytime and share them, so that you don't have to download it and store it and do the sharing that way. So that's coming soon. And then some big features that we're working on are better video animations to make make the videos look better, better and more different variations of designs for captions, so that as you're talking, captions can appear. Because that's the biggest thing with video on social media right now, is it's muted until the user clicks it to listen. So you need to do things to entice them to actually click the button and listen to the audio, because that's what we're all about, is showcasing the audio. So more animations, more designs, more ways to customize it. That's one of the things that we found initially. The early version of our product kind of forced you into a certain look. We kind of had some pre-built templates that you could add your flavor to, but we found out that people really wanted it exactly how they want. So we scrapped that and we were like, well, let's just build a drag and drop interface. So we've got a lot of new features and options that you can drag in. If you've ever used Canva or any of the image creation tools, that's where we're going. We're building tools to make it more customizable and drag and drop like that.
And how important is customer feedback to you? So if I have an idea, kind of like I drop you a message, send you a tweet.
Oh yeah.
You keep an ideas vault of customer
we
feedback?
Do. Yeah, we keep a spreadsheet of customer feedback. We've got a support tool that tracks all of that, and it's so important. So I talked a little bit about the failed company before, which is a whole nother story. We actually had thousands of users, and it was a great product. We just never got the business model right. Yeah. And the reason is because we were actually listening to the wrong people. We were, so that wound up didn't working, and we realized that we were building the tool that we wanted. We weren't building the tool that our customers wanted. So we do our best to listen and try and take all the feedback that we can and blend it together into the product features that we build. The biggest thing, it's so easy when you're building software to just close the doors and start writing code and feel like you're just making progress, but you really have to shut the laptop, talk to people, listen, and figure out what actually needs to be built before you start doing it.
So if you're not a podcaster, but you want to maximize the opportunity for audio perhaps, but you are a marketer, I mean, do you suggest that people maybe record some audio on their phone and then use Wave? Is that an option?
That's definitely an option. You can, the iPhone has an amazing voice recorder built in, but we actually have a recording feature built into Wave. So you can open up Wave on your desktop, you can click record, you can record a minute or two of audio and then create videos. And that's another interesting point. We definitely focus on podcasting just because it's such a great fit for what we do, but you don't have to have an official podcast to use Wave. If you're willing to turn on a microphone, we'll create, Wave can create video content for you. So definitely ways to make that easier going forward. But right now, you definitely don't have to be a podcaster. If you have some great imagery and a few minutes of audio that you want to record and put them together, you can definitely use Wave for that too.
Okay. Well, Baird, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I'm recording this as a video as well. Great. So I'm going to share it on my YouTube channel and on my social networks. And I have to get your best line out of this interview to make it into a little Wave video.
Yeah, we'll definitely post that too. And if anybody wants to find us, we're easy to find on social media. It's at Wave. Now, Wave has 2 V's in it. That's the important piece. So WAVVE. Facebook and Twitter, it's at Wave. Instagram as well, where we featured your video, is at GetWave, GETWAVVE. We're easy to find. If you come to our website, you'll probably get a chat from me because we try to chat with everybody. So we're easy to find. Track us down if you have questions. We would love to connect with anyone and everyone.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I love your feature and I will be using it every week from now on for my podcast.
Awesome.
I have 63 podcasts that have already been created that we need to create waves for. But we'll catch up. We'll get there. Yeah. And the first time you come to Ireland, make sure that you drop me a message and I'll show you the best sites in Galway. And of course, you'll probably want to go to Dublin as well. And maybe you'll go where your ancestors are from. Yeah,
we're going to have to do that too as well. We've, as I mentioned before we started, my family has a full genealogy book that goes back to Ireland and Scotland, and it is on our to-do list. The next overseas trip from the U.S. will be coming your way, so we'll drop you a line.
Baird, thank you so much, and thank you so much for Wave.
Yes, no, thank you for using it, and thanks for having me. And again, would love to connect with anyone. Just look us up.
See ya.
Great, thank you.